actually wanted to conduct a practical lesson in the science lab. Some students said, Cher, I forgot my Chromebook. So half the class had to go back to the class to take. Some of them, they turn on their Chromebooks, low on battery. Next, the students actually also forgot their password. So can you imagine all these things that happen? It takes up how long?
To completely go into ICT, that requires a lot of reworking of our lessons, as well as the relearning, both by the teachers as well as the students.
For this session, we intend to get the teachers who will be involved in this project to set the routines themselves so that it's more meaningful to them. And they, having taught them for one term, will probably know what are the issues that can possibly arise.
Something big like this cannot be done easily. We have at least had 4 meetings. We spent some afternoons being trained on how to approach one-to-one computing, what are the things which can be done, and as well as leveraging on SLS.
We are all part of this Set 1 project. We should not be relying on our own personal so-called best practices. We should have something standardized so that the students will not be confused.
Given our full load, this is something additional. We always think what is useful or beneficial to our students. So if it is going to help them, then I think teachers are willing to invest the effort and time.
I'm sure in the initial stage, the kids, they will want to explore a lot. For example, trying to play games, looking out for their own personal favorite videos and all, which is why we're exploring various admin options to try to curtail such inappropriate behavior. So what they are doing now is they are doing some configuration to the personal learning devices. Still learning how to use the admin control. It looks quite complicated. Challenges include signing up for the admin module. We thought it would be simple given the current era, but apparently it takes a lot of parties to work hand in hand.
To be given your own devices is a great responsibility.
And so Orchid Park Secondary School has begun the 1:1 pilot project.
To quote a line from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
We want to make it a bit more formal and to also stress that this is a privilege. It's something that is really meant to assist them in their learning. It is not another digital gadget for them to play around in class.
Have fun, not too much fun, okay? There's always fear when you try something new. Fear of whether your teachers are able to fully utilize the devices. The fear of your students taking things for granted and not utilizing the devices for learning, but rather for their own personal interests. But the thing is, we have to try.
I feel that in a sense, this equalizes opportunities for my students. And that is my greatest hope, that my students are able to use technology. It's a level playing ground for all my students.
We are getting ready to do a stress test. This test essentially is to test the readiness of the students. We also want to test whether the internet has the capability to sustain all the classes involved doing a particular task.
I think that was a real stress test in all sense of the word. You can see that there are instances where the students forget or they are flustered by waiting time. And when they click and click and click and click and click and click and click, and then they'll just, what's going on?
I usually get frustrated when I'm waiting.
The whole Set 1 cohort is using and we need to wait a little more.
I will not say that it's something that I anticipated, but I like what I saw. When we started on this project, I believe in the power of giving every child a device. But seeing them logging on together and doing a task, I think it's even more powerful. It further affirms the need for the school to get onto this pilot project. So what's important is the kids get something that can enhance their learning.
Do you agree that we must be responsible when we go online? Yes! And how can you be responsible?
Well, the one-to-one journey has been quite rough actually on the teachers in terms of familiarity with doing e-pedagogy, e-assessment and preparation.
Right now, we're one teacher monitoring 40 students.
They do make effort to go and look at my comments.
To really give them time and to give ourselves time as well.
But then we have had some good support from ETD. So they render us quite a bit of support in terms of professional development. So that helped to level up the teachers in order for them to make full use of this PLD project. So infrastructure-wise, with help from ITD, we actually managed to get a single log-on feature whereby all the machines are already pre-logged on to the internet, and that makes it really seamless. So it does not take away important curriculum time, which teachers would typically have to spend inside computer rooms resetting passwords.
You may turn the Chromebooks to face you.
Initially, we were quite worried about whether they would misuse the machine, but we found that actually they're on task. In the event that they do veer off, we often find that they are actually trying to find answers on the internet.
So indicate your special occasion. Like what
I think exploration is also part of the intent of having the PLDs. If we want them to just stay within a fixed frame, it's not going to do any good for them in the long run.
I remember running a lesson, and one interesting thing which occurred to me was that everything's inside their Chromebook, and many times I use it for demonstrations or things which I cannot do, or for them to do themselves. Snakes don't like the smell of sulfur. It's poisonous.
I prefer it's much more useful because I can visualize and understand better.
The other thing I like very much is that I see everybody's response, and I can pick up those who do not know and those who know the work. Okay, so that is very powerful for me because then I can address it. I feel that they like this repertoire. So often I will have an SLS lesson, I will also have an experiment, I will also have normal teaching and explaining. I am quite careful that I do it in a balanced way.
Learning has overall been more convenient than having to travel all the way back home and then start working on the project, and it might take some time. Instead, we can just do our project in school.
Now, if we're uncertain of something, then we can always go and look it up. My parents aren't bothered by it as long as I'm using it for learning. If I do actually use this for entertainment, they will intervene if they find out.
There are always teething problems, but with any new thing, we want or we need to work out the kinks.
The devices are in our life, and we should make use of the affordances that can be provided.
I hope that starting with this cohort anyway, it helps to shape their thinking, it helps to shape their behavior, it helps to shape their maturity in handling such devices.
When you look at the students learning, when you look at their faces light up during the lessons, when you see them being curious, I think that makes it all worthwhile.